everyone. Thank you for joining this live. For those who'll be watching it later and those who stumble in now. And today, I wanted to take some time to talk about body dysmorphia and fitness. And basically, what I was going to talk about is if and when you start working out at the gym, don't get overly obsessed with your body because it could lead to all different types of destructive behaviors and it could lead to insecurities that God never meant for us to have. And I could, speak to this. When I started, working out, there'd be times where I would, not be confident with my body, even though people would tell me, how great I look, how, you know, lean or big I looked. I don't know. Sometimes it would, you know, I'd look in the mirror and then I'd see like an imperfection, and then I would start questioning myself or trying to do all these, different diets and different things to compensate. But, you know, the Most High obviously wants us to be in shape and healthy, but to the point where you are overly obsessive or harm yourself, it's not what he intended. And just for the sake of the live, I'm going to put the scriptures that I want you to focus on and think about. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, and I know that full well. So basically, God made us perfect, and all the insecurities and flaws that we overly obsess on, whether it be our height or something with our face, or things that really can't be changed so much. Obviously you could change your weight and your you know mindset, but we need to not be overly obsessed on what's on the outside and focus on in what's on the inside, our character and who we are and who we how we treat others. And obviously when you are trying to lose weight, you do want to look good, but you don't want it to over consume you and cause you to do all these harmful things. And when we are out of balance, there's a scripture for that as well. A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. So basically, yes, the Most High is going to bless your efforts when you are working out, taking care of your body, dieting, but to the point where it becomes your personality or that's all you care about, that would be an abomination. And that causes people to do different things that obviously harm them and is terrible for their mental health. Like, you know, for one instance, all these different trends and dangerous trends, such as GLP-1s, people taking GLP-1s to lose weight and taking shortcuts and, thinking that they can look a certain way in a certain amount of time and that will make themselves feel better. Or there's a big one. steroids. I remember people used to accuse me of doing steroids, which is ridiculous because I would never do it. And even some have suggested it, but no, I wasn't really, enticed to ever take steroids. And you really shouldn't do it because it's terrible for your health. It raises blood pressure. It also causes you to completely changes your mood. There's a litany of side effects with steroids, but those are just examples, and we'll talk about them briefly about how some people um, suffer from body dysmorphia and what it could lead to. And I'm going to go to this first article that speaks about body dysmorphia. Compulsive exercise and muscle dysmorphia. For most people, exercise is a positive thing that helps improve their mental and physical health and well being. But for those with a condition known as muscle dysmorphia, exercise can become a type of illness, creating a myriad of health complications and psychological distress. Here are some common signs of and symptoms of compulsive exercise and muscle dysmorphia: spending hours at the gym, excessively exercising, lifting weights, using steroids and other performance enhancing drugs, abusing substances. Like I said, people now abusing GLP-1s to look thin or to get into shape. Um, I guess you could say that's for an example for women. For men, using steroids to look a certain way, to look big, because obviously they're not satisfied with the muscle they're putting on, or they want to find a shortcut. Avoiding mirrors or excessively mirror checking. I mean, who doesn't look in the mirror once in a while and, may have some gripes about how they look or what could it be improved? But these are all, totally, extreme cases. Neglecting social life or daily obligations to spend more time working out. I can't say I've done that before, but obviously some people have, gotten to that point because sometimes some people have addictive personalities. I didn't even put the article for you to see. But some people, once they start doing things, they do it to an extreme and they don't know where the balance lies. And that's where you need to use discernment and you need to pray to God to lead you in all of your paths and all of your endeavors so you don't end up hurting yourself or, doing things that will cause damage to your body. And I have a video speaking more about muscle dysphoria, and I will comment on it. And let's check it out. Fair use.
Prove my work.
Justin Baldoni is known for playing handsome, muscular characters like Raphael Solano in Jane the Virgin.
Why were you trying to get in the shower with me?
He says his identity has long been tied to how he looked. A serious athlete in high school, he played soccer and ran track until a torn hamstring put an end to that.
I got depressed. So I overcompensated, like we all do. And I went in the gym and I tried to get as buff and strong and big as I could. And from that point on, the way that I felt in clothes, the way that other boys and other men looked at me, the way that other girls looked at me, I was like, oh, okay. So in order to get respect, in order to have the girls be attracted to me, in order to feel like I'm enough, I need to be big.
You can use my shirt.
Oh, come on.
Hey.
And that began a whole journey in my 20s where I was just the dude that always would take off his shirt, that always had the six-pack, that was just always in shape.
Justin says he struggled with his body image, and he is not the only one. There's a disorder called muscle dysmorphia, sometimes known as bigorexia. It's a type of body dysmorphic disorder where someone perceives their body shape as a distressing flaw in their appearance that doesn't line up with how they might actually look.
It affects mostly men and boys who think their body build is too small and puny, that they're not big and muscular enough, when in reality, they look entirely normal, or some of them are very muscular, but they don't see themselves that way.
The more you focus in on it, the more you can find flaws.
Yes, the more distorted your perception gets. Perhaps it's a little bit like staring at a word on a page that you're reading. After a while, it starts looking a little distorted and odd, right?
Dr. Catherine Phillips, along with her fellow authors, coined the term muscle dysmorphia more than 20 years ago in their book, The Adonis Complex.
Take us back to the early 90s. I mean, how was body dysmorphia, or more specifically muscle dysmorphia, considered in society? Was it even considered at all?
No. Scientists weren't aware of it. Doctors weren't aware of it. If you think of Cary Grant and, the era of my father, your grandfather, they weren't obsessed with being muscular. They were perfectly happy with a sort of ordinary body build.
Obviously, I think the main reason now everyone is obsessed with their image is because of social media. People constantly on social media comparing themselves to other people. And, as a society, we've just become more vain, because that is a good point. It's not like, I could ever remember my uncles, my dad, or, most men who were in my life. I never knew, they were never obsessed about their body image. It's a whole different, what would you call it? Not a pandemic, epidemic. There you go.
And then over the decades, especially I'd say from the 1990s onward, we see an increasing emphasis on a more muscular male body in advertising, in action figures, the toys that boys play with.
It's a secret crisis Dr. Phillips estimates 2 to 3% of the general population suffer from, largely in silence.
I remember one of the first patients I saw with muscle dysmorphia. I noticed that he had 6 layers of t-shirts. He was trying to look bigger.
Noah Neiman, the co-founder of Rumble Boxing, has created a business helping people reach their fitness goals. Here he is on Nightline 10 years ago, demonstrating how to get the perfect V-cut.
Make sure you're using your abs. I want you to lean it back.
It's this little ligament right there.
Okay,
So,
rated here.
But even as the literal model of fitness, he too was his own harshest critic.
I'm on national TV talking about, looking good and feeling good in your abs. And I was self-conscious, and I'm a professional. And I was at home being like, oh, I should have done some more sit-ups. I felt that I didn't look good. I've gone as extreme as, eating the Rice Krispie treat and being like, damn, that's 100 calories. I got to get on the bike.
You think that negative thinking would have killed you?
Yes. I mean, I was over exercising. I was underfeeding myself, and that just wreaked havoc on my sleep, on, my ability to function as a human.
Aspirations of the ideal male physique don't just impact Hollywood actors and fitness professionals. 26-year-old PhD student George Mycock from England says his journey with muscle dysmorphia started when he was just 13. He says he originally began playing rugby to be tough like his dad, but an injury soon took him off the pitch.
I was emotional eating because I was just upset about not being able to play rugby anymore and losing this part of my identity. So I gained a significant amount of weight.
That's when George began to hit the gym, arguably too often, but online forums told him otherwise.
You know, the term freak is a term of endearment in the fitness community. If you want to become really muscular, you want to be, you know, successful and pushing through this barrier, friends are going to not understand, your family's not going to understand, but it's your responsibility to ignore that and push through.
After nearly 10 years of tough workouts and strict diets, he was still not satisfied with how he looked.
I basically got to the point where I felt like I would never be what I wanted to be, and I felt like it would be better if I wasn't here. And one of my friends noticed that I'd been away for a long time, and I was literally on that day, I was planning how I was going to do it.
Eventually, George sought out professional help with a counselor and is now advocating for others to do the same through his work with the Body Dysmorphic Disorder Foundation.
I think masculinity, from my angle, is having the strength to live without the fallacy. So recognizing who I am and allowing that to be myself and being confident in just being myself.
And all three men say, while there is no question fitness is important, for them, it comes down to self-worth. And in some cases, pairing that with counseling.
I don't want to train for a six-pack. I want to train because it makes me feel like the strongest version of myself and like I'm progressing today. And that progression, it's got to be the foundation of happiness.
Hey, Justin, all the way left.
As for Justin, he took a break from acting and focused on helping others, preaching what he calls the why ladder, detailed in his books Man Enough and Boys Will Be Human.
Why do you want to work out? Okay, why? And then why? Generally, that third why gets you to the core root of the reason. It doesn't matter what the reason is. So long as you are aware of the reason, then go in the gym.
How about a toast?
He regularly discusses the pressures of what it means to be a man on his Man Enough podcast.
Raise your hand if you've ever had body image issues.
He encourages his son to understand there's more than just working out the body.
I always tell him the heart is the strongest muscle in the body. Of course, scientifically, we know it's the tongue or the brain. But metaphorically, it really is. When you get to the top of the mountain or maybe further up the mountain, the grass isn't greener. Your insecurities don't go away because what you're trying to fill is a void that no amount of muscle will ever fix.
Well, I could definitely attest to, when you start working out, or when I started working out, my intentions were to get attention, to get women, things of that nature. And then I just became older and wiser, so to speak. And I just kept on doing it for discipline, and it helped with my mood. It gave me control over, because in this life, there's a lot of things that are not within our control. So for me, going to the gym is the one thing where I can control the intensity of how hard or how hard I want to work out, or how much weights or strain I want to put on my body. So that aspect has kept me going because, I realize how elusive it was to always think about, oh, I got to be this weight, or I have to have this much muscle, because you realize that, you'll never be satisfied unless you find that self-worth from God and who he wants you to be and your mission here on this earth. So there are times, especially I could speak to this, where I wasn't in the best of health, and I, started to lose weight, and then I, started to question what was my worth, or what was I really trying to do with my fitness regimen. And then as I was going through that period of, health issues, I realized that I could help motivate others through their difficulties with working out and educating them instead of being overly focused on my outer appearance, because, you know, I'm 36 now. Each day we are getting older, and what is on the outside is fading, but what should be growing and being refined is on the inside. And, you know, these are one of the ways how, because, you know, steroids obviously is always been prevalent in the fitness industry, and, you know, that pressure that men need to look big. And here this video talks about it, how it's rising in teenagers. And again, it's all probably because of social media and the prevalence of it.
If your teen is on social media, they could be following so-called looks maxers. Some of these personalities dole out potentially dangerous advice on achieving extreme body transformations. And that includes taking powerful steroids. Adam Yamaguchi takes a look at the risky trend.
It looks like a healthy habit, but what's hiding underneath tells a different story. 16-year-old Zaid Laila is a high school student from suburban Dallas and drawn into a viral trend.
Why wait 10 years to like reach a physique when I can do it in less than a year?
Laila shared this photo from early 2024 when he was 15 years old. Since then, he's documented his transformation.
How does a 16-year-old look like this?
A lot of steroids and a lot of working out, honestly.
Steroids?
Yeah.
So how long have you been on?
I'd say about like the last 10 months. I was fat, ugly, like short, I'd say, which those three things obviously make you an unattractive like male. Yeah, and definitely when I started taking the steroids, all those things like definitely changed. Like I got more jacked and like better looking, honestly, I'd say for sure.
Scroll through fitness videos on any social media or video platform, and you'll see extreme transformations, bigger muscles, leaner bodies.
These are steroids.
This is like the strongest one you can basically get or take.
Right. One of the most toxic.
Yeah, one of the most toxic.
That you are injecting into your body every single day.
Yeah, I mean, they use it on cows.
Tren, short for trenbolone, is a powerful anabolic steroid developed for livestock, not humans, and is a classified Schedule III drug, making the possession or distribution without a prescription illegal.
Where did you learn how to do this?
I watched like a few YouTube videos, honestly.
What do your parents think about the fact that you're on steroids?
My dad isn't too supportive of it. And he was very like, what are you doing to yourself? Like, you're gonna hurt yourself. He's just like worried for me. I explained to him everything, told him like, hey, like I'm doing this regardless, basically. Even if you tell me not to do it, I'm still gonna do it. So if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it like in the safest way possible. I just want you to know that. I mean, like, I look healthy. I am healthy. I can show my blood work.
Laila told CBS News he blocked his parents from his social media. They learned of his steroid use after a family member saw a video and informed them. Laila's father declined an on-camera interview, but told us he's deeply concerned about his son and overwhelmed by the misinformation Zaid uses to justify his steroid use.
Are you not worried that you could do real harm to your body?
I'd say I do care, and I know what can come with it. I'm just gonna do it the safest way possible. If I have a heart attack at 30, I have a heart attack.
Dr. Jason Nagata is a professor of pediatrics at the University of California at San Francisco, specializing in male teenage health.
Anabolic steroids in general can have really significant consequences to your heart, liver, and kidneys. And trenbolone, because it's so powerful, has even more significant side effects. There is no human safe indication for this animal drug. There are many young people now who aren't actually participating in any types of sports who are using these drugs only for the purposes of looking better.
So this is migrated from the realm of athletics into aesthetics?
Yep, I think it's relatively less recognized that actually with more social media, there have been really extreme pressures for boys to build muscle.
Your social media feed at this point.
Obviously, gym influencers, the top ones right now.
Do you think you would have gotten on steroids without social media?
No. Definitely seeing like people do it is like what makes you want to do it, for sure.
It's not hard to get.
No, it's not at all. Anyone can get their hands on it if you just try.
Adam Yamaguchi joins us now. Good morning, Adam. So where is he getting this stuff from?
It's all happening online. So he first was approached by a dealer at the gym, but then he got on the cycle, and now he's got a guy on WhatsApp. He showed us this guy's account, showed us a whole list of all sorts of banned substances, the trenbolone, testosterone, all manner of peptides, research peptides for use in animals only. This guy is in China. These chemicals come straight from China. And he says that it's cheaper than the t-shirt that he was wearing.
Wow. I mean, this feels to me like a version of body dysmorphia where perceived flaws in this young man's mind have dominated his self-image regardless of the reality. And it also, this looks maxing thing subsumes the things that really matter in life, like character and integrity and kindness, the things that'll carry you throughout the course of your life. So where are the parents in all of this?
Well, the parents are aware, but as we all know, parents have a difficult time tracking social media use. He's got a phone. He's on social media all the time. And so whether it's YouTube or TikTok or any other social media platform, that's where he's getting his messaging from. We talked to his dad, who's very disturbed by all this. He's very concerned about his son's health, but he says, look, I'm kind of helpless because my child spends so much time on social media. He's sort of under the spell of social media influencers.
Who pays for his internet account? Who pays for internet? Who pays to allow him to access the internet? Who pays for his phone? I mean, when I was a kid, I know we didn't grow up with the internet. I understand that. But my parents were, they knew, I mean, I don't know how they would track me back in those days.
Kids can create a disconnect between what they do online and their parents.
What other types of looks maxing?
Yeah, so this is just an unfortunate, an unfortunate effect of how far, people with body dysmorphia will go to achieve that ever, unattainable look. And it's sad that a lot of young men are entranced by fitness influencers and I feel this pressure to look like these movie stars, who obviously a lot of those movie stars are taking steroids to attain that physique when they're doing different roles and things like that. Like Thor, Chris Hemsworth, he definitely took steroids to look that lean and that big, and it's just unrealistic. And if you keep on measuring yourself to these people, you are basically putting your body in harm's way, because a lot of these influencers don't even some are just forthcoming and will let you know that they do steroids. That doesn't make it any better, but there will be some influencers that don't admit that their body is from steroid use, and they have people that follow them that obviously admire them and obviously want to emulate them, and they will always feel bad because, again, that body that you are getting from steroids isn't real, and it's obviously detrimental to your health. And more on steroids and the effects of them. And this influencer, Jeff Nippert, I followed him when I still watch his videos, but he has some good information in the science on different things when it comes to fitness.
Really work. That's probably irresponsible for me to say, but if we're going to talk about the steroid epidemic, we need to do it honestly.
Here's a 3-week trend cycle update for you guys.
Volume trend in Thailand.
Steroids build muscle way faster than something like creatine. It's not even close. If you started taking 5 grams of creatine every day for a year straight, you'd add about 2 pounds of extra muscle. If you started taking steroids at a normal bodybuilding dose, you'd probably add about 20 pounds of extra muscle that year. But it could be more depending on your genetics and how much you take. I'm a lifetime natural bodybuilder, and these are my testosterone levels right now, 485 nanograms per deciliter. That's right around the middle of the normal range for someone my age. This is bodybuilder Chase Irons, the world's most honest, enhanced bodybuilder. He also had blood work done this month. Where do you think his testosterone levels are? Maybe double mine or triple mine? Nope, his levels are literally off the charts. The test maxes out at 10,000 nanograms per deciliter, and his testosterone was higher than that. He openly admits to taking a lot of gear, and this shows just how big the gap between natural and enhanced can get. More people are taking steroids now than ever before. Why is that? Well, I think it's because more and more fitness influencers are opening up about their anabolic use. In theory, this honesty is a good thing. That's because anyone watching would be able to adjust their own expectations for their goals. If they're natural and they know their favorite fitness influencer isn't, they'd be able to lower their own standards and say, okay, well, now I know that result isn't achievable for me. But this kind of backfired. A lot of people didn't lower their expectations, they just started taking steroids. And the bigger problem is a lot of fitness influencers are only ever partially transparent. They say they're on steroids and they show their gains, but they rarely, if ever, show any of the bad stuff. So the only logical conclusion is that steroids are amazing, but that's misleading. So to help you understand exactly what happens to your body when you take steroids, let's inject some juice together and see what happens next, good and bad. This is testosterone enanthate. It's one of the most common forms of steroids that people take. It's basically just a testosterone molecule with a carboxyl group attached and dissolved in a vegetable oil so you can inject it. There's also some kind of aromatic compound like benzoyl benzoate in here, which prevents bacterial growth and helps the testosterone dissolve better. When you inject the needle into your muscle, a bubble of oil is squeezed in between the individual muscle fibers, which spreads out and forms this elongated shape. The testosterone molecules then slowly make their way into the bloodstream over the course of several hours. There, enzymes called esterases cleave off that carboxyl group, and then the testosterone is carried by molecules called binding proteins to the muscle where it enters a single muscle cell. Now its job is to make that muscle cell bigger. And if that's all that steroids did, that'd be sweet and I'd be on them. But there's a lot more that happens.
Whoa. What's that? I just built a budgeting app in Base 44.
Guys, Nina just built an app.
Impossible.
Nina can't code.
For one, your heart is also a muscle. So, of course, the same thing happens there. The testosterone enters your heart cells and tells your DNA to make your heart bigger. Having a big heart sounds like a good thing, but it's really not. When your heart grows, especially one compartment called the left ventricle, the extra bulk actually makes it harder for your heart to squeeze and relax. This means your heart won't be able to pump blood as effectively, which increases your risk of heart failure. Now, I want to say, I'm not the health police. You can do whatever you want with your own body, and I've got no problem with people who enhance. But I want people to at least be aware of exactly what you're doing and the full effect it has, good and bad. For example, not many people realize that steroids affect your brain. To explain this, I wanted to find someone with scientific education and firsthand experience with steroids.
Hey.
Can you hear me okay, Mike?
Yeah. Steroids can cause in many people really high levels of anxiety. It's dose dependent. It's also compound dependent. Things like Tren cause way more anxiety than other milder compounds like Primo. So this is fun. I haven't admitted this yet, but it's not a particularly crazy admission. I recently took a validated, empirically validated, scientifically based scale for anxiety. And actually currently right now, I have severe anxiety disorder. It's probably the most severe type of anxiety disorder, short of like panic disorder. And that's actually right now, as I talk, that's what I have. And another one, also another psychological side effect, some types of your intelligence degrade over time with steroid use. This was tested in people currently using steroids and people who used to use steroids. Most people are just totally unaware that steroids have that potential effect on IQ reduction. And since IQ or just intelligence is such a global quality that you probably want to hang on to most of it as much as you have. It's a real serious thing to trade off.
That tracks with the science. This 2021 study took 3D MRI scans of the brains of over 200 weightlifters. About half of them were natty, the other half enhanced. The scans revealed that the lifters who took steroids had a significantly bigger brain age gap. That means when they looked at the natural brains, their brain age matched their actual age. But the brains of the enhanced lifters looked much older than they should look for someone their age. Their brains were aging faster than they should be. And the psychology of steroids is fascinating. Most people take steroids because they want to look bigger and feel better about the way they look. And I get it. I want to look bigger and feel better too. And steroids will make you look bigger, but they might not help you feel any better about the way you look. They actually could make your body dysmorphia worse. That's because a lot of people think if they just start enhancing, then they'll look how they want. But just because you take gear doesn't mean you're going to look like sebum. And then when you eventually come off, you'll quickly lose a good chunk of the size that you put on and feel smaller than ever. At that point, it becomes near impossible not to go back on, take even more steroids, and the cycle continues. Again, that wouldn't really be a problem if steroids didn't impact pretty much every system in your body, but they do. After you inject, some of that testosterone is converted into a hormone called DHT, which causes hair follicles to shrink faster. This is why so many bodybuilders are bald in their 20s. Some testosterone is also converted into estrogen, which can increase breast tissue formation in men, leading to soft, puffy nipples, also known as gyno. The most reliable way to get rid of gyno is surgery, and while most people will take other drugs to prevent that conversion to estrogen, almost every bodybuilder you know has had to deal with gyno at some point. Injecting testosterone also lets your testicles know that there's more than enough testosterone to go around, so they shrink to about 1/2 of their usual size. The shrinkage quickly shuts down your body's natural ability to make its own testosterone, which is why some people need to inject testosterone for the rest of their life. Steroids also make sebaceous glands on your skin grow bigger, which causes them to overproduce a sticky, oily substance called sebum. Sebum moisturizes and protects your skin in normal amounts, but causes acne when overproduced. Steroid users will try to combat this by taking other drugs for acne treatment, but then they have their own side effects.
What would be a side effect that most people wouldn't be aware of until you've kind of done it?
Yeah, it's a good question. There are a few of those I can think of. Because anabolic steroids are mostly gotten in, at least the United States and Canada, through underground laboratories, some of the gear you get is like damn near farmer grade. It goes in smooth as butter, never does anything, no inflammation. Some of the gear goes in there and boy, does it mess you up. And I have been personally hospitalized at least once for a non-infected but insanely immune responsive abscess. My quad was like 1/2 foot out to one side. I've had friends get hospitalized for abscesses. The doctors have to cut your skin open. They have to drain it. And lastly, the term roid rage, but it's really aggression. And it very infrequently displays itself as actual violent acts, but the thoughts you get on steroids are disturbing. You might like war movies and stuff, but if there's a war movie playing in your head every single second you're awake and asleep, it gets a little old after a while, but you have big muscles, so I guess that's cool. So that's how the cookie crumbles.
Let me get a second opinion on that.
An IQ of 85 to 115 is considered average.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share that video to go into lengths about the effects of steroids and what they can do and why it's not worth it. All these different things that you put your body through just to attain a look that will never satisfy you. That's why you should really look within. I'm not trying to give you all these cliche, sayings or platitudes that really, everyone says, but it is true. When you start your fitness journey or when you start working out, don't let it consume you. Obviously, it's great to look good and to lose weight, but just think about why you want to work out and think of things that really matter. Working out to live longer, working out to inspire others within your family to do it, and the intangible things instead of looking good for a body that is ever changing and growing older. So I was gonna go a little bit longer, but as the time permits, I just wanted to talk about body dysmorphia, how it can be something to affect others, and how you can combat that, I believe, is through faith and seeking God in prayer. And also, if you need guidance or just motivation for your workout journey, I'm going to put a link to my ebook, Strength Renewed. And in that book, I go into greater detail about how you could use the Bible and God's word to help you with your fitness journey, and the things that could help motivate you, because you will find times when it's hard or you have different struggles or you want to give up. But in this book, I give you practical processes on how to combat that. And also, you can take a look at my website and learn more about Faith and Fitness by Garth, and also the services I provide on there. Let me get that website. It's fitnessbygarth.com. And if there is if you have any questions or you want to contact me or want to talk, this is my email. Yeah, so thank you for those who are tuned in or will be tuning in later for this live. Honestly, my live schedule has been kind of sporadic, and I just want to, just want to apologize for that. I'm going through this process of, being more, I'd say, active with my channel and putting my content out and trying to figure out how I could serve people. Obviously, some of these, sometimes I would just like to know how I could serve better and what people want to hear, what people need help with, to spark engagement. But I will continue to be faithful in learning the process of how to help serve you all who have subscribed to my channel. And I thank you, and I will continue putting out content. And on that note, shalom, God bless, and keep on overcoming.